All right, what we're going to do today is work on creating a more sophisticated Jframe application. One with checkboxes and a scrolling text area. Now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a new project. And if you create it with Ant, you're going to have to remember to deselect the Create Main Class option. Right? If I went in here where it says Create Main Class, we absolutely do not want that. If you do that, it's going to malfunction until you delete that class that it created. Or you could create it with Maven or something that does not automatically add that new class to it. Me, more familiar with Ant. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Java with Ant, application, deselect, create main class. I'm going to leave that there just to show you that how to delete it. I think I did that last time, but anyways. So this is lecture in. And there's my class with a main method. I don't want that there. Better delete it. I'm going to come down here, right click on the package, choose delete. There, should be gone. All right, now I'm going to come over here onto source packages, right click and do new Jframe form. Might be in a different order here for you, but you want Jframe form. And I may just call it lecture in. Or lecture in underscore form. Something like that. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm going to drag out a text field where the user is going to type in a number. And we're going to drag everything out first, and then I'm going to edit all the text and all the control names. So we want them to be able to type in a number. We want them to be able to add that number to our scrolling list. We need I'm calling it a list, that was a bad term. A list is a very specific control. To our scrolling text area. We want a clear button for the text area. Dragging another button out. And we want a checkbox to determine whether the action of the button does add or subtract. So I need a checkbox. Find the checkbox control, pull it out. Or I can make it a radio button, right? With add or subtract. Let's just do a checkbox. Checkboxes are fun. Everybody knows how to use them. All right, that's looking like a good little form to me. I'm going to pause, let you type it in or whatever. Well, I'm not going to pause, but you can pause the recording. All right. So, since we're doing math, I'm going to edit the text here to start off with a number, make it easy, and I'm going to edit the control name. So I'm going to right click on it, do edit text, just make it 0, right? Give the user a good hint as to what that's supposed to be. Now it unfortunately changes the width, automatic width of my control, so I'm going to stretch it back out. All right. And this is supposed to be an add or a subtract button. What should I call that? Let me just call it, I don't know, do math. Or how about add? And then this will just be a negative. That'll be what that's called. So right click, edit the text. We're going to say add. And the checkbox is text. Right click, edit text. We're going to say negative. So if this is clicked, it's actually going to do a subtract. Now that's stupid user interface design, right? We should just put 2 buttons and add and a subtract, but whatever. Down here, this button is supposed to clear the scrolling text area. So I'm going to right click, edit the text to clear. So say I accidentally double click on something that I did not mean to double click, and it creates a method for it. Because as we've seen, if you double click on a button, it goes and it automatically adds a method. Now, quite often if you double click on something, it instead goes into the text edit mode, which is usually what you want when you double click on something, right? But whoops, I double clicked on this negative, and it created a method. I right there. J checkbox 1 action performed. I don't want that there. I did not mean to do that. It's harmless to leave it there. So if you accidentally go and you add some methods you did not mean to add, you can leave them there or you can wipe them out. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to the designer. And over here where it says properties, if you can't see it, I guess you can always right click on it and choose properties. And there are events. And then we need to find the one that is selected. Action performed, J checkbox 1 action performed. I'm going to wipe that out. And then I'm going to click close. Now if I go back to code, over here in source, that method should be gone. So that just, once I accidentally litter my class with handlers for things that don't actually need to be there, I can remove them that way. And you can kind of get an idea. I'm going to go back in the designer, right click on it again, choose properties. These are all the events that can be triggered from that control. Well, I don't think we can move our control or, whatever, like when the key is pressed or when the key is released, when the state changes, when the focus is lost, i.e. they tab out of it or they tab away from the application, select another application, something like that. And most of the time we just want action performed, but to do more special stuff, like check to see if they hit the enter key while they were in it, then you can do key released in order to check for that. I don't recall if I did that last time. We may do that again. Okay, so I've added the text. Pause if you need to make your text all look the same. Now we're going to rename the controls to more useful names. So what is this field? This is the number. So I'm going to change the variable name. It's no longer going to be jtextfield1. It's going to be jtextfield underscore number. I like preserving the name of the control as a prefix. You don't have to do that. You can just call it number. However, if you're following along with me for this specific example, you might want to go ahead and follow that. I'm going to do the same thing for add. Right click on it, change variable name, jbutton1, no, jbutton underscore add. Same for the checkbox. Right click on it, change variable name. Instead of j checkbox 1, it's j checkbox negative. This is our scrolling text area. That may actually be a pretty good name for it. I'm going to leave that name. That's all right. I could change it to output, something like that. And the clear button. Right click, change variable name. Seems to me like I ought to be able to change the variable name using the properties. And I just realized that when I scroll down and choose properties, you actually can't see it, that it's off the bottom of the screen. I apologize for that. So what I've been doing is when I right click, way up here, and there's no way I can show it. No way I can get it on the screen. At the very bottom of the menu is properties. That's how I've been doing it. Guess when I post a notice for it, I need to, actually take a picture of that and let you know that that's what I'm doing. So right underneath customize fields, which I'm sure you can see, there's properties. And I can't really shrink this anymore. Let me do that. Nope, can't figure out how to shrink it. Okay, anyways. So I got myself distracted. I should be able to change the name of the variable under here for properties as well, I do believe. Right? Is there some way of doing that? Not seeing it. It's so easy to do it by right-clicking it and choosing change variable name. I'm going to go with that. So this is jbutton underscore clear. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and just double click on the add and the clear methods, buttons to generate their methods, even though I may not immediately start filling them in. Probably going to do so. Add. All right. J button, add action performed. Great. I'm going to go back to Designer and double click on Clear. J button, clear action performed. So what does J button add need to do? We get the number from the text field. We add it to our total. But we're going to need to get the state of the checkbox. We're going to add it to our total or subtract based on the checkbox. And we're going to update our scrolling text area just to show a log. I guess I don't have a field for just displaying the total as well as doing the scrolling text area. We may as well add that as well. So I'm going to go back to Design and add one more text field to display the result. And this is going to be our total. We might want to put some labels indicating what these things are. What's the total going to start at? It's going to start at 0. So right click, edit text. Total starts at 0. Stretch it out. Now I'm going to change the variable name. Right click, change variable name. JTextField underscore total. And some labels would be real useful so that people know what these two things are. Drag two labels out. Now we need to change their text. Right click. Maybe just call this value. That may be a stupid name for it. Right click on it, edit text, value. Then I'm going to right click on JLabel 2 and edit the text, change it to total. And I don't need to change those control names because as far as I know, we're never going to actually interact with them. They're just static labels. They show up, they don't change. I'm not going to be setting the text. If I was going to be setting the text for them, then I would actually give them good names. And you can go back and you can modify the variable names after you've been working with them for a while. If you decide that this button actually needed a different variable name, it's not going to break things if you change the variable name because it offers, it goes ahead and changes everything that it needs to in order for that to work. But I didn't change it. All right, for this to work, we're going to need a couple of member variables for our class. One to contain the total, and one to actually, I think that's the only one we need. We could also add one to keep track of what's in here, but we haven't talked about array lists yet, so I'm not going to mess with that. So I'm going to double click on add. Actually, I didn't need to double click on it, but I needed to get back to the source. And somewhere maybe up at the top or at the bottom, I need to create a member variable for the total. May as well make it a double. Double current underscore total, or if you like, camel case current total. I'm going to go with the underscore. Current underscore total equals 0. I'm going to right click on the init components just for interest and do navigate, go to source, and we will see what that method is. And we can see what it does. It creates all of our controls. So our JButton add is an instance of javax.swing.jbutton and so on. And then it adds some action listeners, one for each button. The add button, J button add, gets an event listener. So does the clear button. J text box negative gets this value, right? I call the set text to set its word to negative, and so on. And we may be forbidden from making changes here. Yes, we are. This is managed by the form designer. All right, I'm done with that. I'm going to go back to our add button. Honestly, the fastest way for me to do that is to flip back to design, double click add again. All right, so we need to get the number from the text field. We haven't talked about exception handling yet. I should use it to catch errors. Just remember, exception handling to catch errors, but I'm not going to do it yet. Okay, so we need a variable to contain the number. String s number, s underscore number, s that. I'm just going to call it s number. Equals this dot. We need the name of our control. It's a J text area, so this dot, please wait, J text, and then we see our two choices. Maybe you see why I like this naming convention. Dot get text. Get text. Then we need to convert that to a number, right? So double space D number equals double dot parse double capital D parentheses S number in parentheses semicolon. Now we have the number that we're going to add, but we need to get the state of the checkbox. So need to get the state of whether it's selected or not. I don't remember what it returns, whether it returns a bool. That's what it should, right? Whether it's selected or not. I'm going to go ahead and fill in the type and the variable name in a minute. So this dot J text, checkbox underscore negative dot is selected, parentheses in parentheses. Now I forgot to watch what it was going to return. I'm going to redo that. Negative dot is selected. So all of the is methods I saw as I was starting to type them return a Boolean value, which makes sense, right? Okay, so dot is selected, capital S, parentheses in parentheses, and we need to store the result of that in a Boolean variable, so I'm going to go back to the beginning of the line. Boolean is underscore negative. I don't know why sometimes I'm using underscores and sometimes not. Equals this dot J checkbox dot negative. All right, now we have that number and we can add it to our total or subtract. Seems to me like a good way of doing that would be to create a multiplier variable. Oh, let's not get complicated. If is underscore negative in parentheses, this dot, I've forgotten what I call it, D total. I better scroll up and go see what I called it. Current total. All right, now I know. Go back to where I was. This dot current total plus equals our number, D number, else this dot current total minus equals D number. And of course, there's multiple ways of doing that, but this is pretty clear, right? Don't always need to go for the most complex answer just to shorten the code. Now we need to update our output. So we need to convert it back to a string. So double space. What did I call that variable? Oh, it's right there, current total. Okay, so double, wait, no, I need to make it a string. So string space s underscore current underscore total equals double dot to string parentheses this dot current total. And yes, in all these cases, we could leave out this keyword. It just makes it easier to type, right? Pops up a list of useful things. And then we need to set our text for that control. So this dot jtext jtext field underscore total dot set text parentheses s underscore current underscore total in parentheses semicolon. Now let's test it at this point. We have enough going on that at this point it should work. And if it doesn't work at this point for you, then we have a problem. So hammer and broom it. You can always just click the green arrow, but I like building it separately for some reason. Green arrow. We have to set the main class since we did not create it with the main class. Okay. All right. So I'm going to add a 1 to it. And look at that. Totally goofed that. I reversed my logic. I said if it is selected, I'll have to go back and check that out. So if I do the negative and I add it, it's going to go the opposite way. Goof that. Let's go change the if statement to be correct. See, here's what I did. If it was negative, add it to the number, else subtract it. I just need to change those to minus equals and plus equals. Or I could have made this say if not is negative. All right, otherwise it was working. So here is the content of our event listener for the add button. Pause if you need to type it in. If you're getting errors, it's probably due to names of controls, and so you can just flip back to the designer, right-click on something, get the name of that control by clicking change variable name and canceling, but you can see what the name of the control is. You can even copy and paste from there if you needed to, right? I could just copy that, come back over here, go back to source, and if I had something I needed to do with it, right. I can think of something I need to do with it. I might want to make it a non-editable field. You can also do that through the designer. But just for fun, let's go up to where we initialize everything. This is actually a bad way to do it, because then if we ever decide that we want to change this state, we're going to have to remember that we did it here, rather than if we'd done it through the form designer, it'd be right there, right? I can just right-click on it, choose properties, and find where it was editable, right? And deselect that. That's the correct place to do it. I'm going to do it in the incorrect place just to demonstrate it. Okay, so going back to my source. After I initialize my components, this dot j checkbox underscore negative dot set. Ooh, I don't see editable as being an option. I see enabled. Okay, I'm not going to do it in the wrong place. I'm curious about what's setting that. Then modifies. Let me scroll down to the sets and take a peek. Set action, set background, set bound, set component order, set cursor, set disable, but I don't necessarily want it to be disabled. I just want it to not be editable. Set size, set text, set tooltip text, right? So if you want it to say something when your cursor moves over, not seeing it, I'll figure it out in the future. Why don't we set the tooltip text? So jcheckbox underscore negative dot set tooltip text parentheses current total. Is that real useful tool text? Could we have already given that from the interface? Yes, we could have. It's just an example. Green arrow. Now when I move my cursor into that field, it should show me the tooltip text. It's not, so I'm not going to worry about it. Oh, that was for the negative checkbox. I put it on the wrong thing, right? So we could put some good tooltip text there, explaining what that does. Wouldn't be a bad idea. So let's go do that. Set current. Current total is not correct. So my tooltip text is instead going to say subtracts the value from the total rather than add. Is that too long for tooltip text? Yeah, probably. Let's see what it looks like. Green arrow. Move over here. Subtracts the value from the total rather than add. Good enough. We could probably remove the words from the total and make it a little bit more succinct. Then we're going to stop messing with this. So subtract the value rather than add. Or maybe just subtract rather than add. Right? Good enough. All right. Done being picky about that text. We've got all that working. It's not doing anything with the JText, with the text area down there. Right? If I click back to my designer, this is what I want to be my scrolling log. Oh, I said I wanted to make the total non-editable. Is that what I was doing wrong? Editable, not editable. Okay. I'm going to go back to the source code and find out where that is set inside init components. You don't have to do this. Navigate, go to source. The total, that value should be changed. Well, there it is, set editable false. What was I doing wrong? I don't know. Set editable false. Fine, that's exactly what I wanted to do. So back up at the top, inside set tooltip text, not inside it, but after it, this dot j text field underscore total dot set editable. Let me see, there it is, bigger than life. Parentheses false. It cannot be changed. So when I green arrow it, I can click on it, I can copy from it, but I can't change it. Oh, well and good. All right, now we're going to start populating this text field. This should probably not be editable either. So let's set that as well. This.jTextArea1 dot set editable parentheses false. Can't change that either, right? We don't want them being able to go in and edit the log, just copy from it. What if I hate the name jTextArea underscore log 1, you know, and I wanted it to say log? Well, I can change it right now. I'm going to highlight that, go up to Refactor, Rename, right? Highlight my variable name, Refactor, Rename, and instead of JTextArea1, I'm going to make it JTextArea_log. Refactor. All right. Now, if I go back to the designer and do change variable name, I will see that that has been changed appropriately. Right click, change variable name, indeed. JTextArea_log. That's what we're going to fill in. How are we going to fill it in? We're going to get the current text. We're going to add some new text to it, and then a carriage return. We're going to keep doing that each time they add something to it. So let's go back into our add method. Just going to double click add. If you double click on it and it starts editing the text, well, you know how to go and find it. Just do a search and look for add action performed, right? That would find it. Control F, add action, right? It takes me right to it. So if we're going to be filling in the text field, do we feel like intermingling that logic with this stuff, or do we feel like separating it? I kind of feel like separating it. It always gets a little bit confusing if I go back and modify code that already exists. So underneath set text, let's get the current text that field is containing. So string, capital S, space, S, equals this dot JTextArea, JTextArea_log dot get text, capital T, parentheses. And let's do our if statement again, so that we can just say add or subtract. I guess all we needed to do was to multiply that number by -1 before we added it. If, parentheses, is _negative, here's what we're going to add to our string. S plus equals, subtracting, space, and then our number, so end quote, plus D number, or it could have been S number, right, because that's the name of the string that we added, not D number, plus quote, space, total equals, space, end quote, plus this dot current total, current underscore total. And I'd like to add a new line to it as well. This text is already scrolling out the end of my screen, so I'm going to add it separately. Norm item, I'm going to add it right here. Just, you're going to need to know. Maybe I can take out, some spaces around the plus sign here and do plus, quote, \n, end quote, semicolon. All right, there it is. Barely all fits in one line on my screen. Now I'm going to copy and paste this because the next thing I need to do is to make it say adding, right? If I'd done a formatted string, I could have done a little bit, a little bit more succinctly. I'm not going to change it though. Else, S plus equals adding D number, total equals plus this current text. So what are we doing? The text field starts out as an empty string. So we're going to append a string to it. Each time an action is performed, we're going to append a new value to the string, right? So it's going to keep adding stuff to it. All right, now we need to set our TextArea_log equal to that. This dot J TextArea_log dot set text with a capital T, parentheses S, in parentheses semicolon. Let's make sure that works before we implement the clear button. We should be adding some comments. Now update the log area Remove a blank line there maybe. All right. Run it. Green arrow. I'm going to add a 1 to it. Adding 1.0, total equals 1.0. I'm going to add a -2 to it. Drop down to -1. I'm going to subtract a 5 from it. Drops to -6. I'm going to subtract a -1 from it. So that's actually the same thing as adding, so it's going to go back to -5. Now we're done. I want the clear button to work. Just want it to wipe out. So when I click clear, what I want it to do is just erase that field, set text to an empty string. So go to the designer, double click on the clear button. This is going to be a one-liner. This.jTextArea jTextArea underscore log dot set text parentheses empty quotes in parentheses semicolon. Run it. There we go. We cannot edit this, but I can add some stuff to it, and then I can click clear and it wipes it out. All right. Last couple of things that would be nice to do is to make it so that when we click add, it jumps back there. I think I did that. I'm going to do it again. And when I say I think I did that in the last lecture. And also I'd like it so that after I type in something here, I can hit the enter key and it automatically performs the add. Let's handle setting the focus first. As soon as we click the add button, we want to set the focus. That'll be the last thing we do here. So that field, jText field underscore number dot set focus. I didn't do it. My mistake, it's request focus dot request focus parentheses in parentheses semicolon. Now each time I click the add button, cursor is going to be back in the right place. Green arrow it, so I'm going to add a 1 to it. I'm going to click the add button. Now the cursor is back where it was. I don't know if you had noticed it, but when I was clicking the add button previously, the cursor was no longer there and I had to position it with the mouse. I'm sure you noticed that. What would also be nice is, even if I type in 45 and I click add, it'd be nice if it highlighted the whole thing so I didn't even have to hit the back arrow. I'm not sure how to do that. Let's take a stab at it. This dot jTextArea underscore log for this dot set selection start and selection end. You know what? I think I'm not going to bother. This is available for backward compatibility. This is implemented forward to the caret implementation where the actual selection is maintained. So it sounds like it's been deprecated. Let's go take a look at that. So dot set caret position. And then there's some properties that are involved. Wonder what those properties are. Right click, show Java doc. Hope that's working for me. Nope, not. Alrighty. When at first you don't succeed, you Google and you go to get some help. Alright, Stack Overflow, somebody's indicating you can just call .select all. I swear I didn't see that. It might be. I'm seeing two answers there. Give it a shot. Maybe I won't spend any time on it if this doesn't work. Dot set select. Oh, well, there it is. Why didn't I see that? All right. Dot select all, parentheses and parentheses. So each time we click the button, it's going to jump back to that field, set the focus back to that field, and it's going to select all the text. Green arrow. So if I type in, 56, and then I come over here and do something dumb like that, and I click add, it didn't do a select all. No, that's because I told it to do it to the JText area log rather than that specific field. I need to change this part to JText field number. I can do that, right? So just match it to match the other one. JText field underscore number. Green arrow. Type some text in. No, I'm not going to add letters. 56. I'm going to check the checkbox. This text is no longer selected. I'm going to click add, and it jumps back over there, and it's all ready to go. So all I have to do is, type in 12, hit enter. Nope, that didn't work. I forgot. You need to make it so that if you click, if you press enter on it, it will call the add button. I'm pretty sure I did this last time. So to find out how to do it, I'm going to Google up key press space up JText field. Of course, it's going to take me to add detect enter press in Stack Overflow. What do I mean? Of course, pretty much every answer in the universe is on Stack Overflow. All right, so we want to add an action listener to that field. And I'm pretty sure we did it through the user interface of the form designer last time. We got also set it up inside the initialize component area. I like the look of this one better. Add an event for key pressed. And if the key press is enter, then we're going to do something. So we need to add an event listener to that control. Go to designer, click on value, right click, choose properties, or just come over here, right, choose events. I want action key press. So we're going to execute it as soon as they hit the key or when they release the key. It'll work either way. I can't see a reason for doing it one way or the other, so I guess I'll add it for key pressed. So instead of none, key pressed, right click down here, add this new event listener to it. Then we're going to need to check to see which key is pressed. And if it's the enter key, then we want to call the add function. So this, if parentheses, so if EVT dot equals, forgive me for cheating, coming back and looking, key event dot VK enter. Oh, it's a little bit different. So EVT dot get key code parentheses in parentheses. EVT dot get key code parentheses in parentheses equals key event dot VK enter. Key event with a capital K, capital E, dot. Ooh, it's not going to pop up that answer. Probably would need to add an import to get that to work. Key event dot vk underscore enter. Well, we'll figure that out in a minute. vk underscore enter. In parentheses, semicolon. No semicolon. And yes, it's showing an error. We'll go back and we'll fix that in a minute. If it was an error, we want to call our add. Name of our add function is jbutton underscore add action dot performed. So back down here, after inside our if block, this dot j button. Don't be fooled by that. Don't be fooled by this one. This dot j button underscore add. Yeah, it looks real likely, but that's just our control. Instead, we want to call add action performed. So j text, no, j button underscore add. There it is. Action performed, parentheses, EBT, in parentheses, semicolon. Key event cannot be converted to action event. And what happens if we just pass a null in? That'll probably do the trick because we're not actually inspecting the event that's being passed into the add action performed handler. All right, so this is not working. We just need to find out how to get key event to work, what we're going to have to import or whatever. So I'm going to come up here to Java space doc space key event, class key event. What class is it in? What package is it in? It's in java.lang.object, java.aw. Well, that seems an awfully long way to do it. Java.awt. Okay, fine. I can prefix it with java.awt.event. No problem. So java.awt.event. Key event. All right, there it is. Java.awt.event.key event. And if we went and we added an import for java.awt.event, you know what? Was that even listed as a fix that NetBeans offers? I bet it is. I bet I could come over here, click on the error, and it would add an import for java.awt. Okay, so that would have been the fastest way. I forgot that NetBeans offered a short fix for that. You can do it either way. But if I scroll up here now, I will see that we have added an import for java.awt.event.key event so that we can get that to work. So if we get the key code and it's equal to the enter key, then we call the add action performed. Let's run it and see. I'm going to type in 56 and hit the enter key. See if it adds it automatically. Cool deal, right? Now we can work at warp speed. What if we type in garbage? It generates an exception. It'd be a good idea to handle that, but at least it did not completely break our application. The event listener is still out there, and so we'll go ahead and call. So what is it doing when we hit the add button? It's spawning a thread, an independent thread, to handle the add button so that even if that crashes, it does not kill our application as a whole. All right, I like our little application. I hope it worked out for you if you were typing along. I will publicize, I will post the code for this as well. Although just copying and pasting that code and expecting it to work would not work. All right, hope that's been educational. What if you wanted to make this radio buttons rather than, negative or positive? I'm not going to do that, but in Designer, I would drag out button group. and it doesn't do anything. We don't see anything happening. And then I could drag out the radio button, and I could assign it to that button group. I'm not even sure how to do that right off the bat, but if you Google up JRadio button space button group, you would see how to do it. And you could determine which button was being pressed. We could have made, buttons, one that said, add, one that said subtract, one that said, multiply, and one that said divide. Would have been a good idea if I'd implemented it like that. But I'm going to get rid of that J button 1. We have a rogue button group that's been created out there that I'm not going to bother trying to find and delete. All right. Hope that was educational.